We had to break into that story to take you live to the Ministry of Information, where the local government ministry is speaking on rural and urban development.
Citing the lack of broad national consensus among key stakeholders and a section of the populace. For him, it was a matter, very important matter, as involving the amendment of an entrenched provision of the constitutions. And to get this through, it required broad consensus. So for lack of that, it was withdrawn. The next one was to strengthen substructures of MMDAs. We've done that through our urban, zonal, town area councils and unit committees. They were all inaugurated, and the respective assemblies supported with operations and an allocation from the DACF to ensure that the substructures were working. We provided motorbikes to all assembly members then to ensure that they do their work, monitor substructures activities. We had in the manifesto abolishing the current practice of central government manipulation of the DACF through procurement policies. We have harmonized all the deduction at source, including procurements at the DACF level, and transfers to MMDAs have now been increased. For example, from 2016, net transfer to MMDAs was 35.10%. In 2016, we increased it to 46.52%. In 2018, further increased to 53%, and 2019 increased further to 53.4%. So incrementally, we are transferring more resources to the district assembly. The next one was ensuring a speedy enactment of the municipal finance bill. A local government finances bill has been drafted, consultations of the bill were conducted, and feedback incorporated. For a matter as important as finance, Minister of Finance is involved seriously, so we had to get strong support and feedback from the Minister of Finance. And the bill is currently at the Attorney General's Department for final review. We also had improved allowances paid to assembly members. And we improved revenue generation capacity of MMDAs through digitization, and I will explain that further when I come to talk more about our achievements. Consequently, we also had improved allowances paid to assembly members, and we improved revenue generation capacity of MMDAs through digitization. And I will explain that when I come to talk more about our achievements. Consequently, MMDAs have increased allowances for assembly members in accordance with Article 2502 of the Constitution. Article 2520 says assembly can pay allowances to themselves only from their own internally generated funds. That's what Assembly says, what the Constitution says. So what we have done is to focus on increasing the internal generation capacity of the Assembly members. And they have done that and have improved on the payment of allowances to the Assembly members. At the back of the, attached to our report, I've indicated different examples of districts that have improved on the finances, that have increased allowance payable to assemblies. For example, Gansaf has increased by 184%. Asunafu North has increased by 64%. West Akim has increased by 150%. Lower Manya Krobo Municipal Assembly has increased by 200%. German North has increased by 50%. New Joa North has increased by 100%. Nkwanta North 75%, Atiwa West 100%, Kwewu West 200%, Fantiako South 100%, and so minimum. Tema Metropolitan Municipal Assembly 100%, Ewotu Senya 100%, and I've attached it minimum. So you can look at that, and if you need more information, we'll give you on that. Strengthening the of traditional authorities within the local governance system. We have enhanced consultations and collaborations with traditional authorities. In fact, in the recent training of assembly members, we also emphasize on this. And for me, we have direct, for example, when we were passing the birth certificate registration, we took it to the National House of Chiefs to get their input. When we were working on the referendum, we took it to National House of Chiefs to get their input. At the local level, the district chief executives know that our traditional authorities are key actors in local governance, and they have to consult them and interact with them. So enhanced consultation and collaboration in that regard. Upgrade the Tamale campus of ILDS. The infrastructural needs assessments have been conducted for the Tamale ILGS. Got done architectural drawings that has been completed, and budget allocated under the DAC for the work to commence. In fact, we started the procurement process in regard. And we also did a lot to support, we worked on the infrastructure at the national office here to enhance their activities. Decentralizing and equipping land valuation board to provide direct technical support to property valuation. In collaboration with GIZ, the first phase is being implemented, and land valuation boards has been resourced to do valuation of 49 properties. The target with GIZ is 83. And this valuation will be accompanied by data collection on ownership of the properties, and for us to also identify rateable properties. Some have completed, and this has led to the increase of IDF of some of our districts, notably Adenta and Suhum. Consolidate all existing national sanitation policies, plans, and programs into a comprehensive national sanitation program and action plan, and establish a national sanitation fund. This has been done. The Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources has developed a national sanitation policy, and within it there is an aspect of national sanitation fund and a national sanitation authority. The next one was on work with MMDAs to exempt KIA from payment of market tolls. KIA have been exempted from payment of market tolls. Then carry out civil and vital registrations of residents in Ghana. Even though the DEV's registration coverage has been stuck at 17%, the BEV's registration coverage has increased from 63% in 2016 to 80.4% currently. So there's been improvement in terms of BEV registration to provide information for national statistics, planning, and development. And we have, I'm sure most of you have heard, recently got Parliament. Parliament has recently passed the Registration of BEVs and DEVs Act. And I will talk about that in the presentation. The last one was implement 3% increase in DSF disbursement to persons with disability. We did that. We increased the allocation to persons with disability from 2 to 3%. It's disbursed at the district level. The manifesto required that this should be decentralized.
Create a store for your business for free.
At the district level and not at the national level. So, I don't know where people are getting their information from when they say the local government did not implement their manifesto. This was all the activities that I put in the manifestos, and even in areas that had bearing the Ministry of Local Government. For example, civil and vital registrations of residents. You see it on a different section, but it is a key function of local government because we are working on BEVs and DEVs registration. So that statement that local government has not met is a responsibility under the Manifesto 2016 is wrong. And I've itemized everyone and indicated to you, the press, that we have done that. I will put us at 90%. I just talked to you about our outputs. In terms of increased participation in decentralization, you are all aware that we created new assemblies, 44, declared 32 as municipal, 32 as municipal standards. We have built offices for these assemblies. There's also the wrong perception that we are not continuing with projects. The last government left 23 uncompleted office accommodation buildings for assemblies. We completed them. And we've gone further to start 72. Out of the 72, 4 have been completed, and most of them are at various levels of completion. Because we created assemblies, we have to get officers. Some of the assemblies that indeed they created did not have offices. We were just using some structures, and we have done that. So that perception that projects are abandoned is not true, not with the local government ministry. Are all aware that there was district level elections recently. We have, in collaboration with the Institute of Local Government Standards, launched and conducted a national orientation and training program for newly elected appointed
Grammarly does more than catch errors.
Solid data so that they can use in their work. We're focusing on their roles and responsibility, the decentralized structure. We were focusing on financial management, their role in IF generating revenue for the assemblies. And then we also took them through communication with the media, communicate with all stakeholders within the district assemblies, ensuring participation. And importantly, we took them through response to pandemic, COVID-19. That was very important. They need to know that. And 9,079 assembly members were so trained. To enhance their work, we've had this model stand order on for about the last 20 years. So there was a need to change the model standing orders for district assemblies, MMDAs. So pursuant to Section 18 of the Local Governance Act, a new model standing orders was developed, and that's what the MMDAs are using now. We've also developed the local governance permit and notices regulations and local governance consultations regulations. This is part of the Local Governance Act. These regulations were developed in pursuant to Section 232 of the Local Governance Act, Act 936. It's important that assemblies engage citizenship, so we guide them and support them to hold town hall meetings. We've had 720 town hall meetings. This year, as you know, COVID-19, it has not been easy, but we've developed models to guide them in fewer numbers. The ministry, collaboration with the ICC, that's Inter-Ministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, we've come up with a new national centralization policy 2020 to 2024. Again, when we came, there was one ongoing. We had to pursue it and complete it. So we completed whatever national policy that was there. It ended in 2019. So we had to work on developing another. And this policy foster quality service delivery through a centralized local governance system and active citizen participation, specifically deepen the local level democracy and participation, improve administration and resource mobilization, enhance government fiscal arrangements, and improve the enabling environment for sustained business growth. We've focused also on revenue generation at the district assembly. This was a priority for us, to increase funding and improve financial management of MMDAs. First of all, we developed fee fixing guidelines. Fee fixing guidelines is to ensure that you don't just set rates the way they like. Set some limits within which they can set their fees and their rate. This has not been done since 2008. So in 2017, we thought it fit to do it, and we've done that. The IGF strategy and reference guide to MMDAs in the revenue mobilization efforts also been developed. We have focused on digitization in so many ways. One of them has been through the digitizing the operations system, the business operating system. And this we've done for 29 assemblies in the Greater Accra region. And we are rolling it out to the various business. This will enable them to locate businesses registered at the Registrar General's Department and apply it to their own rates and their own fees fixing programs. And this is done through a portal system so that they are able to fix fees, and then people are able also to go to the portal system to support. A critical one that we have used is district level revenue software. This is an e-payment option developed to enable MMDAs to effectively and efficiently manage and improve revenue mobilization at the local level. It's been implemented in 83 districts as of now. It's capable of administering all revenue items, including fees, permits, licenses, investments, and it also facilitates building. You do it, you also identify all your properties, start with evaluation, identify the properties, identify the bills, and issue out the bills at the beginning of the year. The implementation of all these programs have led to growth of the internally generated revenue. For example, there was a growth between 3% growth between 2016 and 2017. And from 2017 to 2018, 18% growth. And a further 18% growth again for 2019. So we have in all been able to increase it to about 24% revenue. And you will see from the display of the figures in terms of percentages, but also in terms of amount. So over 100 million have they been able to get to. I have for you in the document performance of the various assemblies, and those who are doing well and those who are not doing well. They are all doing well, but we are grading the assemblies in terms of percentage growth. What we grade, they set targets for themselves. These are the targets we are set for this year to achieve for our internal generated fund. But if you grade only in targets, they may decide to lower targets. So what we are doing is grading them in terms of the percentage growth. If you had 100 million in 2017, what do you have now in 2018 and again 2019? And in the grading, I'm glad to indicate that Karga District Assembly was first in the country. Can you believe that? Karga District Assembly was first. Ekro Fo was second. The smaller ones are beating the bigger ones. And Karga did well. In terms of percentage growth, they had over 400% increase. Ekom had over 400% increase. Uyo had 300% increase. Uyo Nason was third. Nanton was fourth. Over 200% increase. It's interesting. They outplaced the bigger ones. I think what the big ones is Efia Kwesi Minton, they placed 19th. Ayawaso West placed 13th. Ayawaso West. So Okakoff also did well. They placed 9th with a growth of over 119%. I've also included the West 20. But I won't announce them. I won't announce them, but it's in the document. We've given soft copy to the Deputy Minister, and she's indicated that the soft copies will be transferred to, will be sent to all of you. So, this table indicates the revenue that generated over the period. So the assembly for 2019 generated this is not 1 million. Average increase is 1.49. So can you say 1.5 million? That's the average increase for the assemblies. they generated 387 million IGF from their IGF. This is what they generated. The Common Fund, 2016, 461 million was fed. 2017, 663 million. 2018, 698 million. And 2019, 967 million. So you see, we keep increasing the amounts transferred to district assemblies. For 2020, we have records on just the first quarter. We have transferred 184. But you look at the difference, 2016 to 2019, 461,245,117.86. Talking about 400. And now, for 2019, 967,380,625.95. So that's the difference we're talking about. We are performing, and we are ensuring that the district assemblies get the results to do what they want, whatever. They decide on their activities and they implement them. The ministry has also completed what we refer to as integration of the district development facility with the district assembly common fund responsive factor grant. Some of you may have heard that there was the district development facility started in 2008 and continued throughout to 2012. It's based on performance assessment. Do annual performance assessment of the previous year and grade them. Those who pass are given some points and given some results to identify projects within their districts and implement. This annual assessment will look at just the minimum conditions, like have you had your meetings, have you complied with the various laws, have you done enough in terms of raising revenue. So we're just looking at what they are supposed to do and assessing them to find out whether they have complied in that regard. In the previous government had problem of raising what they call counterpart funding to support this process. Some donors were prepared to give some discretionary funding, and then we were supposed to put in 20%. At some point, they were not able to do that, and the donors therefore did not put their money, so it was stopped. When we came back, the Minister of Finance got in what we were expected to give per annum was 20 million. He provided the 20 million and $20 million to as a counterpart funding to trigger funds then from the donor community. So they were able to do that. So $20 million then was about 120 million. And thereafter we started the whole program again. So, and we've also integrated with the District Assembly Common Fund to address this issue of counterpart funding. So there is a percentage allowed when doing the formula District Assembly Common Fund to give a percentage of how well they are doing, their response to the generation of revenue. We call it the responsive factor grant. So we've put aside that 10 cents so that we have permanent funding that will take place of the counterpart funding. So this funding has allowed us to generate resources to pay to the district assemblies. And for all the years that we have done the assessment in the past, 2016, 2017, we've been able to transfer total amount of 500 million to the district assemblies. 500 million to district assemblies. This year alone, we have transferred 185 million to the district assemblies. And we are expecting to transfer another 238 million to the district assemblies before the end of the year. So the next table indicates the funding that have gone to district assembly, and you will see that the total over the period will be 4.5 billion. 4 1.5 billion that we have transferred to the districts from 2017, 2018, 2019, and counting 2020. A number of other activities are ongoing in the Greater Accra region. We virtually launched the permit processing system, so that if you require a permit, you sit in your house, go to the database, and then fill in the form requiring permit for your building or whatever that you are. A database, so we have names of companies that can help you if you want to get in touch with some companies to help you fill your form. It's all there. So for Great Accra, we started with the municipalities and metros, and we are planning to work on. They've started working on 10. We are working on 10 as of now, and this has facilitated the process of getting resources on that matter. All these monies that we have transferred to the assemblies through the efforts. You don't transfer money or get assemblies to get money by just doing business as usual. You have to put in an effort. You have to build their capacity. You have to provide the resources and guide them to do that. So we've guided them through digitization. We've guided them through various training. We've guided them through monitoring and even sometimes coaching. They have been able to get results, and also taking that initiative to ensure that what is due them goes to them, like the common fund, the net transfer increasing over the period. And they've been able to initiate 4,686 sub-projects. And of this, 2,682 have been completed. And this includes educational infrastructure, health, water, sanitation facilities, and other areas. They themselves will decide on whatever they want to do with the funds that is. Every year they prepare their annual plans, consult with the local communities, identify the areas that they want to do. Now let me move on to rural development. Rural development for the development of this country and for service delivery. We developed a policy which guides and coordinates service delivery and investment in rural communities. This is approved by Cabinet, and we are implementing it. We have had a consistent, a rural policy, a coordinated rural development policy in this country since 1969. Since Buzia's government had a rural development, we haven't. So this time, we have developed a rural development policy. And it's binding not only on the Ministry of Local Government and Rural, but all sector ministries. And periodically, we will coordinate and provide a report on how well we are doing on rural development. This policy seeks to modernize agriculture for rural growth and development, provide quality socioeconomic infrastructure, maximize the potential rural areas towards rural enterprise development and industrialization, promote sustainable management and utilization of natural resources, promote financial inclusion of our rural communities, and strengthen participation of our communities in the decentralized governance system. We have developed the program, and we've also set in place activities to ensure that the rural development policy is implemented. One such program that we have is what we call Ghana Productive Safety Net Project. And this has been designed to emphasize on rural development work. And it's implemented with a 60 million funding support from World Bank. So far, we have the districts have identified about 340 sub-projects. And this is delivered through what we call labor-intensive public works program. They include 73 small F dams, 60 field roads of about 3.5 kilometers in length each, and then we have about 200 climate change interventions. This is done through plantations of various crops that are designed. Some are doing coconut, some are doing cashew, and various areas that they decide. It's also a climate change intervention. Under the labor-intensive public works program, we allow the districts to identify people, sensitize the community, and get workers to work in the field. Can you show some of the pictures of the workers at work? Yes, for example, this in Solar Kalba, they are doing a dam, and they get the stones. The stones are not huge. It's a picture that's making. They get the stones, and then the contractor supports the work, goes to collect the stone, and then arrange it at the dam site. This is a road project. Women are engaged. They work on the road, and they are paid 12 Ghana cedis a day. 12 Ghana cedis a day. So if you multiply that by 30, you get over 300 a month for them. I went to some village and they told me that now our market is full. The women in the village are using the money now to trade. They get their over 300 cedis every month, so they use it to trade. This is a road completed in Offensive. The previous one, let me see, the previous one, the road was in one municipal. Yeah, it's one municipal, but a village under the one municipal assembly. They are doing their road there and others. Then you have the plantations too. They do what we call, go back please. Go back. They do nurseries. The assemblies do some nurseries and then supply tree plants to all who are interested in setting up plantations. And this is also going on. As I indicated, we have about 209 plantations already established in these areas. And for those doing the work involved in the labor intensive, we have generated employment for 29,959. Out of this, 18,508 are females, constituting 62%, and then males are 11,451, constituting 38%. The women need the money more than the men. So we are targeting females. We are targeting them. And we've paid out a total of 19 million through these wages for the period 2019 and 2020. We've paid 19 million directly to vulnerable persons who do not have work and want to work to earn an income to support themselves, either their household or to engage in business. We've paid out 19 million. Under the program for, show the coconut seedlings, under the program on working on illegal, so ensuring that supporting the fight against illegal mining, the Ministry of Local Government, in collaboration with support from the Interministerial Committee on against illegal mining, we are working on planting vegetation along the river borders, the river basins. We got the assemblies to support with coconut seedlings through our project, but also through the assemblies themselves. And we are also working with Agri-Trade, the civil society organization, to support in this exercise. So far, we've planted trees along the River Pra, coconut seedlings, River Pra, 5 kilometers on both sides in Shama district. This was inspecting the planting along the River Pra. So you can see me and the DC and some of the workers. This along the River Pra. We've done 5 miles on both sides. And then Wasa East, we've done 5 miles along the River Pra. This week, we are starting with 3 streets along the River Brim in the eastern region. And we have targeted 20. So seedlings are being supported with the productive safety net program and some resources too from the Interministerial Committee against illegal mining. And we are targeting 20. We've successfully done 2. We are starting another set of 4 and tend to have their seedlings ready to also start planting. This is part of Rural Development Initiative. A key program under rural development that I'd like to share with you is what we call the planting for export and rural development. And this is a collaboration between the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and of course, our metropolitan municipal and district assemblies. This is more a rural focus program. We've rolled out under this program 3 crops developed and planted. These are cashew crops. These are cashew, coffee, coconut, oil palm, mango, rubber, and shea. And the key objectives are to improve upon the rural economy, establish a rural material base for His Excellency's vision of the centralized industrialization agenda, the 1D1, create jobs for the teeming youth, and mitigate the effect of climate change. Over the period, I'll not take you through all that, but I'll just indicate that we've done a lot of work in planting. For 2018, for example, we distributed, and these were not only distributed, they planted them, 9.2 million seedlings, cashew, oil palm, coffee, coconut, mango. In 2019, 8 million distributed. In fact, 2018, it was distributed to 106 districts. They took the initiative. And in 2019, 146 districts planted 8 million seedlings. And for 2020, the target is 13.8 million with 211 districts. This again, the nurseries, pictures, the nurseries are done at the district level. The district assemblies do the nursery and then distribute the seedling. In fact, one district in Upper West was able to do 200,000 seedlings of cashew, and they distribute freely to the communities. An individual must be able to do 1 acre each. Yes, the picture before that. This is one district. This actually district chief executive distributing the seedlings. Okay, district chief executives. District chief executive distributing the seedlings. And the second one is Wild West. You can see that one is not as green as the rest. It's also because of the environment. So the second one is Wild West. So we are doing a lot of work in our rural development. All the other areas that are taught, construction of schools, construction of everything, the concentration in the rural areas. One key thing that we have done that we're reporting on is the Alternative Livelihood Program that we decided to use our community development institutes to train youth who otherwise were in Galamsey. And we've trained 500 youth in various skills: masonry, carpentry, electrical works, plumbing, and it's been a success story. 500 have completed and are out. In the schools now, we have 607 still training, 240 in the school, and 367 with master craftsmen in their community. Not all who want to be institutionalized, they don't want to be in school. Some stay with the master craftsmen in their community. And there are success stories. I would like to give you some of the success. Some beneficiaries of this program in Wasa have produced and supplied face masks. Those who were engaged in fashion and sewing, dressmaking, they have supplied face masks. In fact, sometimes I buy face masks from them to take to my constituency. And some of them are also doing hand sanitizers and then doing the metal stands for the Veronica buckets. They are engaged in developing that, and they're getting some good money out of that. 3 trainees have gone on to Takoradi Technical University to do higher national diploma. And then a trainee in Ashanti, Nyinahe, has also graduated from the Agona C. Some of them decided that they will continue and get the professional certificates. And some trainees from Mansoon Konta in the Mansie South and some communities in the Amansie West and Amansie Central been trained in soap making, beadworks, flower confectionaries, and have set up their own business. They are producing and selling. Many of them have set up their own businesses. In fact, those who did the electrical work, some of them were even employed by VRA, and they are working in their communities. The program on social investment fund has also done a lot of projects within the rural development areas. They have about 253 socioeconomic infrastructure in 21 districts. This includes chiefs' compounds, clinics, maternity centers, semi-discharge accommodation for teachers, nurses, mechanized boreholes, markets with simple covers. We will have pictures some of the markets in the program. They also created about 2,185 jobs and have paid out 14.4 million as remuneration to persons that engage in their activities. And I've also been able to give credit totaling 17.4 million to 1,200 beneficiaries. This is a market that they constructed in Yamukuru. Yamranza. But there are the other one too is also there. The market too is also there. So we have one too in that community. For rural development, we have what we call Modernization of Agriculture in Ghana project, supported by Canada Development Agency, and worked in link with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture is a decentralized department now. Some of the departments are decentralized. The Local Governance Act requires that about 11 departments be decentralized. 11 for the districts, but more even for the municipal and the metropolitan. So when it comes to agriculture now, the municipal government is interacting. In fact, one of my deputy ministers, Collins, is dedicated to agric. So it works both with me and the Minister for Agriculture to ensure that this is done. This is a 40 million Ghana cedis project, and it's transferred to the district. It's more than that. 40.6 million is transferred to regional departments of agriculture to monitor and supervise and ensure that all the plans are in place and they are implemented. And 100 million transferred to MMDAs for agricultural activities. This is included in their work plans, annual work plans, what they intend to do with agriculture, and then identify the groups. And the groups are registered with the district assemblies and supported with pools, with credit, and also with processing equipment. We know women are engaged more in process, so we ensure that we provide the processing equipment. At the local level, too, we focus on projects that will enable them mitigate the harsh conditions of climate change. So we have a number of programs on climate change. One of them is the local climate adaptive living facility. And the districts themselves decide what they need to do to deal with the issue of climate change, combat the issues around climate change, and we provide funding for them to implement them. So in the document, you see a number of programs that they have carried out in the various districts. Another one is boosting green employment enterprise, and this is the European Union supporting to target issues of migration. So we are focusing on Ashanti and Western region in areas that they have done a research and identified that there is migration to Western world or other than this crossing the sea and all that. So we are intervening there with programs for towards climate change. Last year, we had a very successful climate change summit of Africa to focus on the role of local governance in climate change. The emphasis on we can do all the policy at the national level, but if we don't weave it into what the action at the local level, we will not get the results. So we are drawing attention to the fact that all the policies and initiatives, that is the national determined contribution that we need to do. We need to refocus and look at what is happening at the local level. So, members of the media, we are doing well in our rural development front. We are not just looking at policies, but we are taking actions at the rural development front. In the urban areas, we have a number of projects too. We focus now on the street naming. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President, Communications through the Ghana Post, and the Land Use Planning Authority, we are working on the digitization, property digitization, and street addressing and property addressing systems. It's so important to enhance the revenue from property raise. We need to work on that. So far, working with the Land Use and Ghana Post, we have properties and addresses of 96,467 streets in Ghana. And the work is ongoing. In our manifesto this year, it's one of the key areas that we have. We have set up 10 regional mobile teams to coordinate the process of this property addressing and in our communities. The Ministry of Local Government, we've took it up as our responsibility. We've inaugurated all the system regional spatial planning committees. The Land Use Planning Authority sets up planning committees, regional spatial planning committees, and they had to be. Once the president inaugurated the national one, we've done the regional ones. And they are supposed to look at planning needs of all the regions and the district, and coordinate the district plans. And they are also inaugurating the district. This picture is an example of the place that we are putting in houses, property address system. The 245 is the unique number of the property, because this is the figure that we will use when we are doing our property fees rating. This is the figure that we are using. This is the number. Each house is given a unique number, and this is the number that the assemblies will use to their rate. And then that's the name of the street. Then the last number is the digital address number. So we are combining them, and there's a database on that. The Kumasi market first phase was complete and is providing 8,200 jobs. His Excellency the President cut the salt for the second phase, which has also started. We are doing a number of markets, and recently, just on the 19th of August, His Excellency the President of the Republic cut the sword for the redevelopment of the Takoradi market circle in the Western region. We have another project that we call the Ghana Secondary City Salt Program. It is a 100 million credit that Minister of Finance has graciously taken from the World Bank for us to support urban infrastructure development and service delivery in 25 municipal assemblies. How does it work? The districts are trained, and they decide on the sub-project that need for their district, for this, not the whole district, but the particular city. There's the understanding that we need to invest in some city to see the impact of investment in urban infrastructure. So identify 25, and they are investing there. For this year, 42,521,623 million dollars have been transferred directly to the institutions, mainly the district assemblies. If you multiply that by 5, we're talking over 200 million Ghana cedis. And they are using this to implement 60 subjects in their various cities, and at various levels of completion. We are lucky to get the president to inaugurate one of them. He cut the sword for the construction of the Nsukka Basin Drainage Improvement Project in the New Joabi. And this was the sword cutting ceremony. They decided that, Kofi decided that flooding is our main program. And we want to build construct drains to deal with this perennial problem of water. And they've done that. If you look at next picture, Agona Swade Road, they use part of their money to pave their lorry parks and taxi rank. Look at, and many of them are also doing that. This next picture is Efiakwe Cementing. They are also working on drainage. This is just the beginning part of it. They've done intensive work on that. And these 25 cities are using the resources to do that. Under the urban development program, they also say we have abandoned their projects. There were some projects that were not completed, and we completed them. This includes some markets, modern markets, infrastructure in Tafo, Asawase, and Ago. It includes an engineered landfill in Ho and abattoir in O. It also includes garages and skills development center at Kupe, and abattoir and drains and community upgrading programs in Tamale. We've completed them as well. The BEVs and DEVs registration, I know, is key for everybody. But just before I go there, I've completed, as I indicated, a total number of 4,686 projects. Over 1,000 education sector, over 1,000 in the water sector, and 480 in the sanitation and economic projects. So we've done a lot. This is about 50, most of them are 57.2 completed and 42.7 is ongoing. We have passed, or Parliament has passed, the BEVs and DEV registration, now BEVs and DEVs Registration Act. It's very important that we focus on the BEVs and DEV registration. It seeks to decentralize registration of BEVs and DEVs and improve collation of vital information for national development. The current BEVs and DEV registry is centralized. Everything is done from Accra. And when they even talk about districts are not necessarily conterminous with the current districts that we have. So if we have BEVs and DEV registry under Ministry of Local Government, what we need to do is first of all to ensure that it is decentralized, it aligns with our decentralization system, and it allows the decentralized system to support the registration of BEVs and DEV system. So that's the key objective. So the new BEVs and DEV registration integrate the registration system into the local administration SAP, and MMDAs will be responsible for the provision of registration facilities at the district level. So we are giving the responsibilities to them to support the process, that they don't care because it's controlled at the center. So whether you register the children or not, it's not our business. We are making a business of assemblies. This will also ensure the centralization of the whole machinery and registration of vital events and make them accessible to the populace, and will pronounce functionality at the community level, especially our urban, zonal, town, and unit committees. We are giving the unit committees responsibilities to do that, and giving them responsibilities to go into houses, inspect, and support registration. We are also providing a community population register under the law, so that every community will have their population register, and responsibilities given to the substructures to support the process. Of course, there are the district officers now appointed in collaboration with the district, the MMDA, as well as the registrar at the center. So not just the registrar posting people, the responsibility will be the MMDA, and under them too will be deputy officers and registration officers that will support. So we will have to get a number of registration officers in place to support registration of DEVs and futile DEVs. It introduces enforcement of registration system by mandating the registration assistants to inspect registration records at households within their various electoral areas. It deals with the registrations of names and provides for the development of a standard forms for the registrations of names as distinct from prefaces and suffixes. It enjoins the registry to make publication of prohibited prefaces and suffixes that may not enter the civil registration system. It deals with information and data sharing with reference to the Data Protection Act. Under this protocol, there will be a digital interface between the births and death registry and institutions like National Identification Authority, the National Health Insurance Agencies, and Ghana Health Services, as well as the Ghana Statistical Services. They will all be interfaced so that when you are born, the data on your certificates and a National Identification Authority has access to it, National Health Insurance has access to it, and was stated by His Excellency the Vice President, launch of the manifesto. You will have, you are unique, every human being, you are unique at the identification number. It also addresses the issue of registration of children born under surrogacy arrangement. We have to move with the times. We have to move with the prevailing times. We shouldn't pretend that there is no surrogacy arrangement in Ghana. There was no law allowing for, there was no law giving effect to that. So now this law provides for surrogacy arrangement and all the arrangements that is necessary for that. And it also addresses the requirements for the registration of mosques, funeral homes, burial grounds, and crematoriums by the district assemblies. Even though the district assemblies are seen to have responsibility for burial grounds and all that, there is no law covering that. So this birth and death registration covers that. It introduces the concept of notification and identifies primary notifiers for events like to include persons in charge of health facilities. For example, the ministry, the hospitals, our hospital facilities responsible for births or events like births and deaths occurring, they are not obliged by law to provide information for birth certificates. They are not. So we have to put it in the law so that where births occurs, where death occurs, there's an obligation on the institution to provide that information. So this will lead us to digitize interface with all this system so that where birth occurs, immediately we are notified and the registration is done. And for where this notification is not possible, the unit committee members, the assembly members will also be tasked, supported by the registration officer, to do establish community participation registers at the community level and follow up, do in-house inspection to help them fill in their forms. We need to have our data, current data, to help us in our national plan. So this is what we've done with the birth certificates. It was passed, and for next year, we will vigorously implement it. We'll start the implementation now, and pushing forward. Given us this, we will continue to push and implement the Birth Registration Act. Our departments are all doing very good jobs. Community development continues to train people. They are also engaged in the community and providing information, communication, and education materials for community engagements. A total of 2,521 social workers were selected from 70 MMDAs in the state and trained in the use of child protection toolkits, behavior, social change. They are very active in the fight against COVID-19, and they support all their national vocational training institutes to also support in the education of this program. The Departments of Parks and Garden is engaged. They help in disinfecting places, a notable place like the President's. They are working on that, and so many other agencies, including the ministry. It's the Ministry of Local Government itself, and other agencies, not just the ministry. They are involved in road median work, landscaping, and so many other parts of our urban community, only in Accra. And the department also has been able to improve its IGF to help it in its work. The Ministry of Local Government Studies is one of the key departments of the ministry. We have supported and revamped it. It was kind of just going down. So we said, no, we have a good facility like this and allow it to go down. We have supported the institution to develop plans to expand their education programs, including facilities for distance learning. We do patronize and use ILGS facilities as the preferred choice for most local government programs during our tenure. And we've given them more scope to perform their training and capacity mandate that the Act 649 setting them up. We've built them out on their legacy debt and institutional reorganization and improvements to the 5 million, thanks to Common Fund support. Then we've rolled out enhanced scheme of service training for staff of the local government service. There are also plans to improve the infrastructure both in Accra and Tamale. For Accra, we have renovated a 20-bedroom hostel facility, that's the Accra campus, with funding support from GACF. And then the ministerial support for the realization of the ILGS mandate in their strategic direction. We continue to work with them, and they are supporting us in the training of assembly persons. And the training program that have been designed by the Office of the Head of Local Government Service, most of it will be implemented through the ILGS. We need to keep them active and moving. We cannot have a facility like that and allow it to go. So we have revamped it. Of the Office of the Head of Local Government Service, they have provided staff for the 44 new assemblies that we created. They have provided staff for the new 6 regions. Not only have they provided staff, they have designed training for them, and they have trained them using ILGS, but also consultants. They provided training for them. A total of 3,464 staff were also recruited at various grades and posted to best staff. You know, the Office of the Head of Local Government Service recruits the staff for all the 260 district assemblies and regional coordinating councils. So they have a very active role in not only recruiting, but ensuring that they are trained and that they are delivered. So they do performance appraisal all the time. They train their own staff in this regard. The service implements a local government service performance management contract between regional ministers and regional coordinating directors, and between municipal, metropolitan, district chief executives and their coordinating directors. They have also established guidelines for integration and operationalization of the district level departments. And they were very active in helping the ministry to develop the regulations for the consultations, the centralized consultations, as well as our notice and permits. They were very active in helping us in that. Now, I know I've been long, but let me go to coronavirus before I end and allow you to ask your questions. The local governments were very active in the fight against coronavirus. You all recall the President's directives on us to work with MMDAs to enhance the conditions of hygiene in markets across the country. And various other directives had implications for our work: improve sanitation and distribution of cooked and uncooked foods, manage the partial lockdown of Greater Accra metropolitan area, as well as the Greater Kumasi areas and its adjoining district. We're very active. In fact, I am a member of the Presidential Task Force on COVID, and action on COVID is actually done at the local level. We responded to the COVID by issuing instruction and guidelines to MMDAs to respond effectively to coronavirus and COVID-19. We directed MMDAs to establish district public health emergency committees with support from the Ghana Health Service to commence active education, sensitization, and prevention measures to curb the spread of COVID-19. And we facilitated the disinfection of markets and public places. And in collaboration with GACF, we procured and distributed hand washing facilities as well as some PPEs. And we directed sector agencies and MMDs to revise their various annual working plans, ensure one, that they are able to implement what they set out to, but also free resources to address some key areas that will be responding to coronavirus and COVID-19. We collaborate with the Ministry of Gender, Children Protection in our work on the distribution of food to vulnerable groups. And we reassign staff to support MMDAs and regional, at both the district and regional level activities to observe the COVID-19 protocols. So we also had to redesign our annual action plan and then reassign our staff to support in that direction, monitor and supervise various activities at the district level. We implemented flexible administrative hours and we monitored compliance of all these protocols at our marketplaces. The regional coordinating councils were also requested to coordinate and ensure compliance of all directives. The districts on their own did a lot of work. Some of them include public education, especially at marketplaces, lorry parks, and other public places, using all different means of communication during that. Some were using their FM stations, some were just going in-person contact and enforcement of various laws on food safety. They ensured also that hygiene conditions were applied, and this include availability, giving out some hand washing facilities like Veronica buckets, sanitizers, and various other PPEs, advantage points. They were important working on security, transportation, and especially at the market level, supporting the market system to work. And you all know when we did the disinfection and of markets and fumigation of our markets, District Assembly played a key role in that. Sometimes we had those markets, sometimes they had to find new spaces, markets, women and men to operate. And I would like to use this media to thank our market queens and market leaders, the support the ministry and the districts have had with them through this COVID-19 pandemic period. The districts have done a lot of work in this regard, and it's in the report. If you're interested in the details, you will get it. For the ministry at the central level, where in the first phase, we went to disinfection and of market and lorry parks and fumigation. In the first phase, we covered 1,840 markets and over 1,000 lorry parks. And this was done between 23rd March 2020 and 6th April 2020 in all the cities and in all our 260 districts. For phase 2, that was conducted between 19th July 2020 and 2nd August, we were able to disinfect and fumigate and clean up. Anytime we disinfect, the following day we have to clean up. Disinfect, fumigate, and clean up 1,921 markets, 1,022 lorry parks, and this time we added public toilets officially, 2,423 public toilets. And I want to believe that these activities has helped to curb the spread of coronavirus COVID-19 in the country. We continue to provide PPEs to a number of institutions. We did that for the religious institutions, both the Christian and Muslim fraternity. And we took pictures and it was well covered by you in the press. We're able to also provide some sanitizers and materials for MPs, members of parliament, to also sew their own face masks. We provided material to all the district assemblies to do face masks to spread out, especially when it was time for election, for the registration exercise, the voter registration exercise. We supported the districts to go around and provide people with marks who were coming out, who were in line to register. We did that. And also initially provide 2 to market women, so that market women also practice using of marks and eventually buy for themselves or sew for themselves. So we're very engaged, and this way we did it extensively throughout the country, not only in the capitals, but in the rural communities. We're there working with them to support that. Now, Madam Deputy Minister, what's the way forward? The way forward is focusing on our 2020 manifesto. What is there for local government? We're going to work and build consensus towards amendment. We haven't given up on the election of MMDCs. We cannot give up. We believe that effective decentralization starts with our electing of our MMDCs. And we have to be clear about that. We shouldn't play the ostrich game. So MP is committed to this process. But we also understand that we have to build a consensus before we can amend the various provisions, the entrenched provisions through referendum. So we are working, we're going to work on that, build consensus towards amendment of the Constitution and other consequential laws to allow for the direct popular election of MMDCs on a partisan basis and to devolve more powers to the local authorities. Indeed, let me take a bit of your time. This book, Decentralization Reforms in Ghana, written by Professor Kwame Ahoy and Dr. Callisto, page 62, the section on making the decentralization system partisan. Let me read it to you, and for those who want copies, I can give you the page of copies. It reads, the Commission, the CRC, recommended that the Constitution should be amended so that at an appropriate time in the future, Parliament may pass legislation to make the local government system partisan. The seventh government, that is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government of the Fourth Republic, has sent out very strong signals that perhaps the appropriate time is now. While this may be a step in the right direction, it should be borne in mind that the step to make the local government system partisan cannot be taken without an amendment to the relevant constitutional provisions and consequential amendments to the Local Government Act. The seventh government, he repeats again in the page, the seventh government of the Fourth Republic has sent out a similar strong signals that it intends to have DCEs elected. This is an inevitable consequence of any decisions to make the local government system partisan. One of the strongest objections to electing DCEs under the present constitutional arrangement is that there is no sieving mechanism to ensure that candidates for election as DCEs have a modicum of competence. A non-partisan government, I'm quoting Professor Kwame Ahoy, was my professor, a non-partisan local government system is a free-for-all system, under which any Kofi, Kwame, or Efua, Amma, or Ese for that matter, can put himself or herself up for election. They get elected because elections throw up the most popular and not necessarily the most competent candidate. However, once political parties are allowed to operate at the local governance level, their system of primaries can act as that essential sieving mechanism to ensure that candidates are at very best moderately competent. That's my case. So any party that comes out to say that they are not supporting election of partisan magazine, my professor, I hope he doesn't mind my quoting him, he taught me, so I hope he doesn't mind. He is the guru of decentralization in NDC. So if they come out to say they are not supporting this, I want the public to know it was a partisan action. It had nothing to do with the credibility of the objective, the credibility of the program. It was a partisan decision. My prayer is that they will think Ghana first, and not whether this is going to be delivered under Nana Addo Dankwa government or any other government. So it's a manifesto, and we are going to work on that. The second in the manifesto is ensuring the completion of property. I'm talking about the 2020 manifesto. Ensuring the completion of property valuation, digitization of valuation rules across the country by the offices of the Land Valuation Commission, all MMDs, and to improve local revenue for property taxation. Very important. We want our MMDAs to have money. Ensuring the integration of one district, one factory, for export and rural development, one village, one dam, and other government initiatives into the core deliverables of MMDAs to stimulate local economic development. And also mainstreaming social protection measures into MMDAs operation and using at least 5% of local revenue for vulnerable and disadvantaged households. I just talked about our LIPW, the labor intensive program work. It's a safety, it's a social protection measure, it's a safety net measure. So we want to ensure that all these programs are integrated as one country, and for us to implement them. Decentralizing the new registration of BEVS that we've just passed, and completing the digitization of BEVS and DEF registry. And as I emphasized, we will be digitizing and interfacing it with NIA, NHIS, and the Ghana Health Service work. Expanding the reach of social intervention and safety nets. And we are doing that through what we call the labor intensive public works and product inclusion, that will die vulnerable, support them with resources to work on enhancing their incomes and improving on their livelihood. And to accelerate activity under our planting for export and rural development and the rapid growth under the Ghana Tree Crop Development Authority, the collaborative effort with the Ministry for Food and Agriculture. Other key priorities for us will be implementing our National Decentralization Policy and Strategy 2020-2024, modernizing the ILG's campuses, both Accra and Tamale, continue the implementation of all programs of our projects, all the projects that I've initiated, I've talked about, we'll continue the implementation. We'll also do annual performance assessment of all our MMDAs. And we'll continue the harmonization of the digital addressing system with the street naming and property addressing system. We'll continue the implementation of the strategies to improve internal generated revenue of MMDAs, improve the collection thereof. Operationalize our BEVS and DEF regime, facilitate the passage of the Local Governance Finance Act. Members of our press, ladies and gentlemen, as I indicated, you are friends. We want to give, I've given you the story. You will go out there, tell the story as it is, but also identify areas that you think you can complement us for effective implementation to deliver our country. The decentralization process is very much on course. We have supervised the deepening of democracy, the delivery of multiple functional facilities in urban and local areas. We are enhancing and promoting quality lives, pursuing programs and projects for equal opportunities and prosperity, managing resources, and empowering our people, even in this pandemic period. I think we are justified in claiming that we have achieved so much in this short period of 4 years. And I believe we deserve the renewal of our mandate to do more Mother Ghana. You know what the sign is. We deserve to do more for Mother Ghana, far more for President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. God bless you and God bless Ghana. Thank you. Yeah. Let me wait. Thank you. I should sit down. I can't sit down. Thank you, Honorable Minister. recognize some members of the team who may also take some questions as and when they come, depending on which sector the questions are handled. We have the Acting Director, Parks and Gardens, Reverend Emmanuel, over here with us. We have the Acting Director, Births and Deaths Registry, very Kingsley Ado. We have Mrs. Unil Sign, Director, Administration and General Services. We also have Dr. Faustina Esando Edu, Director, Department of Community Development. And then we have former MP and Director of District, SIF. Social Investment Fund, Honorable, I'm sorry, I didn't have that on my list. That's why I seem confused. Honorable Kofi Frimpong, also here in our midst. And then also Director, District Assembly Fund Administrator, the Honorable Irene Natoshi Ado. Mrs. Latte, apologies. And then we also have the Chief Director, Mr. Charles Kwame. Don't do. We have Deputy Minister for Local Government and MP for Fenso North, the Honorable Collins Augustine Intim. We also have Deputy Minister for Local Government and MP for New Jabing North, the Honorable Nane J. Boateng. And then we also have Deputy Minister for Local Government and MP for Ekam South, the Honorable Obi.